Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the VOD Squad, episode 25 to be exact. I know, right? It's a quarter of something. So, not exactly quarter of a year, but yeah, we're getting there. As we used to say, good enough or close enough for government work, right? Yeah. There we go. All right, everybody. Hey, I'm Clyde. Today, I am joined by Michael Aston. Where the hell is everybody else? I feel like I've been. I feel like I've been stood up. Well, I know I do. That's why I'm here, and you guys are over there. But no, yeah, I know Jimmy's on the road. He's visiting his dad, but Matt's off talking nerdy someplace and without us. Matt, we're really disappointed. That's all I can say. So what's new? Anything? Well, no, then that just means it becomes a, like, however long rant by me, because there's nobody around to stop me. And I don't know if that's a good thing, that's a bad thing, but we'll find out. All right, well, hey, I think there's a bunch of news today. And, I guess to kick it off, did you know that Nielsen says that the TV viewership continues to decline? Yeah. Well, and reading this article, I thought it was funny because there's a couple points in there, specifically where it says that live TV viewing totaled like 4 hours and 23 minutes per day, right? That's down from a year ago, which was 4.4 hours 27 minutes, down from 4 hours 31 minutes. So we're talking like not even 5 minutes at a time down each year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hold on. He's telling me there's no audio. Hold on. Um, okay. And they can't hear you, but I can hear you, so let me check my settings. Okay, so audio preview none, default speakers. This must be a Skype thing. Technical difficulties. Default microphone. Everything should be there. But oh, you know what? Let me check something. Let me check my system. Playback device. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Okay. Talk real quick.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Yeah, some reason my computer defaulted to play on virtual audio device as the audio source. And I don't know why, because I haven't had Play On installed in my computer in years. But I can't get rid of the audio device. Okay. Okay, sorry. So, you were saying that it's 1% decline, and that I don't know what you're saying. I wasn't listening. But what I was gonna say was, in the article they broke it down even further, and they like down into the age demographics, like the 18 to 24 demo watch 15 hours and 36 minutes, which is down from 16, 17. So that's a little bit more significant. That's almost an hour, or that's over an hour. It's an hour and 17 down. 25 to 34 bracket was 22 hours, and down from 55. So yeah, overall it's less than 1%, but in specific key demos, it's a huge decrease.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what's also interesting is some of the obvious stuff that we already know that this now quantifies, right? Smartphone usage went up dramatically from about an hour and 15 minutes to about 2 hours and 32 minutes, which, that's almost double. So actually it's more than double. So that's huge. However, we knew that, everybody is carrying their smartphones around and watching stuff on it. So that's nothing new. Tablet use rose a little bit, 23 to 26 minutes. Time shifting rose a tiny bit. This is all logic. This is things that we didn't need Nielsen to tell us.
No.
They put numbers on it, but other than that, we all knew these things.
Yeah. All in all, I'm not surprised. I'm actually surprised that the numbers are smaller than what I would have anticipated.
Right.
But, because I've used my kids as an example before, is the fact that they're 11. I put a TV in their room, and they didn't touch it. It was there for a good 3 months before I said something about it, and they said, "Oh, we can use that? What can we do with it?" And then once they found out, oh, there's a Roku attached, then they, turned it on. We go up to my parents' house, and they're just completely befuddled by the idea of channels and stuff's not on when they want to watch it. And yeah, I'm beyond that. But so then next to that, there was an article that Apple wants to sell HBO, Showtime, and Stars in a single bundle.
Well, whatever. why not just throw in, the Golf Channel and, basically everything else? What we're talking classic bundles here. This is the premium package bundle.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of cool in theory. And that will really depend on the cost. Like we talked about last week with HBO, I have trouble quantifying paying $15 a month for HBO.
Right.
Because when you look at the cost, the dollars per content, it just doesn't work out for me. Because once every couple months, there's something I want to watch, but then there's a whole bunch of months where I don't care. But if the cost is negligible, if it's cheaper than subscribing to all three of those separately, I might be in. And that's the thing, because $15 a month for HBO, $11 a month for Showtime, and then $9 a month for Stars. Do we want to be paying like $30, $30 to $40 for the three?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say is this doesn't give us the pricing, does it? It tells you what their current price is, 15, 11, and 9. So,
yeah,
I mean, logically, you're talking $35, but maybe some sort of bundle discount. It sounds like they're not getting a bundle deal from the providers, and they also gave up on trying to get TV deals. Apparently, they couldn't negotiate as good a deal as Dish or whatever the other channels are, View and Sling and stuff like that. They couldn't negotiate as good a deals. Or perhaps it's just that Apple still wants its like 99% of your life for everything, and they couldn't swing those kinds of deals with the TV networks, so they gave up on it. But they weren't happy with what they could get, basically.
No. And that's the other thing that's kind of a deal killer for me is Apple.
Right.
So this means I'm going to have to subscribe through them on an Apple device. If that's the case, then I'm out completely, because I don't own an Apple device, and I'm not, this isn't something that's going to compel me to. I guess somebody that lives in the Apple ecosystem that, Jimmy, perfect example, might be. If he's already paying for HBO, as we established last week, he's going to keep with HBO Now, and he has the Apple TV, and he has Apple, other account stuff. If he wants Stars and Showtime, maybe this will be compelling to him. This is something we should probably put a pin in and revisit down the line, or at least keep our eyes open, because right now it kind of sounds a lot like Apple just throwing stuff out there. Like if you really want to make a deal with someone and they're not returning your calls, you just put the word out there and say, hey, I really want to do this. And then you kind of force them into the negotiation, right?
Yeah, I think, this is the only thing that they're talking about that's kind of different than what everybody else is offering, is the fact that they're talking about a bundle here. So if they can provide a compelling discount to it, then that might be something that would draw some attention. But otherwise, just about everybody already offers all three of those channels. I mean, you can get them all through Amazon. You can have your billing centralized there. All of the other people that do the TV services have them. So it's nothing new. It's not anything you can't get many other places. But if they can get you a good price that is going to make it compelling, or just simply the fact that you are already in the Apple ecosystem, then right.
Yeah, and that's the key word, compelling? Can they make it compelling? Right now, I don't feel compelled.
Right.
All right. And then Matt left us hanging because this is his article in the fact that classic Doctor Who episodes are now streaming on BritBox.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy some of the newer Doctor Who's. I never got into the older stuff, so it's kind of hard for me to go back. I think that I remember some episodes being interesting and pretty good when I saw them way back, like in the late 80s, early 90s. But looking back at them now, they don't seem terribly exciting to me. So I'm much happier to watch the newer stuff and just be happy with that.
Yeah, and like I said, that's Matt's story because I'm like you. I didn't really watch until the Christopher Eccleston season, and then I was sucked in. Him, I was like, but then from then on, yeah, I'm in. I tried so hard to go back and watch some of the early episodes, and even not the super early ones, like later, and it was too bad. I know I'm probably gonna offend somebody out there. I personally just couldn't get into it. They had like styrofoam rocks that somebody bumped into this giant boulder. The girl this giant boulder, and she bumped into it and it went rolling, and you could see it kind of shake, and I was like, I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, but I won't deny that there is some good stuff there. Yeah, but it's not something that draws me in, and no. I'm much happier watching the newer episodes, the newer seasons. So,
but to quote Tom Baker, you must give it a chance because there's nothing quite like it. I'll take his word for that.
Yeah.
And then, hey, you're a football fan, right? Sort of, or just college?
Just college. I don't do the NFL.
Yeah. Apparently, last year, Twitter had Thursday Night Football, right?
Yep.
Amazon is going to replace them and stream the Thursday night games on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. I might actually try to watch a game or two. I doubt it, but hey, it's there with my Prime subscription, which I already have and I'm already paying for, so why not, right?
Yeah, and, that's the thing that I don't quite get. I understand that, the price tag, that makes sense. Twitter paid, like, something like $10 million.
Right.
And, and Amazon's going to pay 50.
50. Wow.
Okay, I get that. But the difference was Twitter was putting it out there for free to everybody that cared to watch it. Amazon is going to take that and basically take it into their silo where only Prime subscribers can watch it. So while NFL is going to get more money on the front end, how many eyes are they losing? Because
I guess the question is that in those 10 games, how much money are they getting from advertising? Because in those 10 games that were broadcast on Twitter, they probably they probably didn't get advertising there. But I mean, sorry, it's still showing on CBS, NBC, Verizon, and stuff like that. So you can still watch it. They'll still get their ad dollars. And people that migrate to like Prime because they don't get those other channels, those people are non-ad revenue generating customers anyways. So $50 million, I think, probably more than makes up for any ad revenue loss to those people, which again, largely either wouldn't have been able to get these shows or would have had to purchase some other solution that would have had limited or no ads anyways.
I think the thing that, or the way I looked at it, is a play like this, to have it broadcast on Twitter, it's a ploy or a play to get more eyes, people that wouldn't otherwise watch, even if they got it on the TV. They may not watch live TV, and so this was a way to get them. But now you're basically taking that wider audience, or the higher chance of engagement, and wiping it out, except for the people that are already Amazon Prime subscribers. Because how many people out there are going to say, oh, I need to subscribe to Amazon Prime, which I'm not already, so that I can get Thursday Night Football?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a little more confused by Amazon than I am actually by the NFL. So, yeah. Like I said, I think from the NFL's perspective, they largely view most of these viewers as lost viewers anyways. Mm-hmm. These are, people that are going to watch it on CBS, NBC, Verizon, and stuff like that. A lot of those people are time shifting it through their cable providers. Mm-hmm. B, the ones that aren't, they're already watching over the air. They're not going to be watching in any other solution. People that don't get it from one of those four sources, or three or whatever, they're not potential viewers, right? Like, they don't have Sling. If they want to watch it enough, they don't have Sling. They don't have Dish Network. They don't have cable. They don't have over-the-air access. They're not potential viewers in their mind. So I don't think it's so much about getting more eyes as it is just getting money for that they otherwise wouldn't be getting. And so this is a no-brainer for the NFL. For Amazon, I don't know what they get out of this. You're right. I don't think people are going to buy Amazon Prime because of this.
Maybe it'll convince a couple people not to cancel their Prime subscription, but they're adding an additional 50 million on top of the other millions that we reported about, a couple weeks ago, with the absolute loss that Prime is across the board. So I don't get it. Unless it's just they wanted to take away that toy that Twitter was so happy to be playing with, kind of like the bully on the playground.
The two things that I kind of think of here are, first of all, brand recognition. I think that doing things like this gets their name out there and makes Prime just a little bit more premium, a little bit more desirable for everybody, or at least for a large portion of the population. They start to see Prime as something that has just inherent value. Now, again, I don't think many people are actually going to subscribe because of this, but it influences the public perception. And then the other thing that I think they get out of this is that, like you mentioned, the defensive move, keeping this away from Twitter, away from Facebook and YouTube, who all were reportedly vying to get a hold of this. So they didn't want YouTube to be able to put this on YouTube Red or whatever, or the YouTube TV. So in order to prevent that, which provides yet another competitor, go ahead and pay the 50 million. And, it's not so much a 50 million so I can have it, 50 million so you can't have it.
Yeah. See, and, I understand Amazon wanting it, Amazon wanting to pay for it, or willing to pay for it. I don't get why they're going to put it on Prime. They should, if they were to put it on, let's say, Twitch, which they own, people still get it for free, and it drives viewers to Twitch as well. That would make perfect sense to me, but I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't view Prime as a live location right now. And maybe that's the other part of what they're going for, is they're trying to influence people to thinking that Prime is a source for live content, just like Netflix is a source for live content. If that live content is watching a photocopier room do nothing, or watching somebody sharpen pencils. So did you get a chance to see that April Fool's bit from Netflix?
No, well, I saw it, but I didn't watch it because I had no interest in live anything on Netflix. So I may go back and watch it now that it's canceled. But yeah, no, I say good on them. Good job.
Yeah. The Netflix thing was great. I actually watched a good portion of it, and it was outstanding. Sorry to just transition right away from that last story, but I was done. I'm done.
Well, that's okay. Now, and yeah, so I mean, speaking of that, so now that they did that, and do you think that there is a market for live TV on Netflix?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I go to Netflix, I watch what I want to watch, and I binge watch it, and then I do something else, right? So I don't view Netflix as a place for live anything. And when I want to watch live stuff, I log into Diamond Club TV, or I watch, something live stream over YouTube or something like that.
Well, and that's the thing. It's when I saw it, I didn't even think about this, anything other than, after the fact, when I heard what it was, I said, great practical joke, but I wonder if they did that under the guise of a practical joke as a way to test the actual mechanism of live streaming to see if it could be done efficiently and if there would be problems.
Well, I don't think that it actually was live streamed at all. I think it was purely advertised that way as a joke.
Probably. It was probably recorded earlier. You're right. But I wonder, but I wouldn't be surprised with Netflix bringing on people that, like Chelsea Handler, right? To do a weekly show thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to get into the live aspect, and then once it's live, if you don't tune in for it live, that's fine. It's there on demand already. They've got the archive capability. And, because I think they're losing a lot of kind of their thunder because of the new people that are bringing all the live over the internet stuff, like your Slings and your PlayStation View. Yes, they're bringing old media to the party, but still, there's a huge market that still wants that live right now viewing experience.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like there is potentially a market. I don't know that it makes sense for Netflix to get into it. But what I do know is this was a piece of comic gold. It was pretty brilliant. It was absolutely atrocious in all the right ways. I went through the whole thing, but I didn't watch it straight through because it really is so intensely dull and hilarious. I skipped basically, like, I looked through the bar and I skipped to each new section and watched about 30 seconds of the new bit. And there were some really good ones. The parallel parking one is hilarious, and I actually watched all of that.
I heard that bumper on at the beginning of Cord Killers.
Yeah.
And I was laughing before I even knew what it was. I was laughing, and that's when I said, "Oh, okay, I should probably go back and watch this."
Yeah.
But
There's not much in that video that has that much quality content where he's, actually humorously commentating. But that bit was very funny. And there is some other enjoyable stuff. But just the fact that it's like 48 minutes of him just talking about all these totally inane things is just hilarious. The fact that they kept the bit going that long.
that makes me think of Anchorman 2 when they went to the live 24-hour cable news and they didn't have stuff to talk about. And did you see that movie?
I didn't see
Oh,
two.
okay.
I didn't enjoy one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was bugged by one, but that was mainly because of their depiction of San Diego was completely wrong. And that made me angry. But,
Yeah.
so, no, I mean, I actually kind of talk a little bit more about Netflix since the other guys aren't here. Question for you. Do you think that Netflix is kind of losing a little bit of its luster? It used to be synonymous with internet streaming. With all the other players in the market, do you think that's still the case? Are they king, or are we starting to see the decline?
No, I mean, I still think there's no doubt in my mind that they're still the king by a huge margin. Do they have some worthy competitors that are starting to creep up? Yes, I think so, but I don't think that any of the competitors, except for Amazon, pose any kind of real threat to their dominance at the moment. And even Amazon, I think, is this the NFL thing and some of the other things that they've done, to me, just indicates that they are trying to build up both their global powerhouse brand of Amazon for everything, but also they're trying to beef up their system in a way that they can really compellingly compete against Netflix. I think Netflix is still producing such quality content that if you want original content, you're going to go to Netflix. Again, Amazon's the second, but they're clearly a second. If you want, back TV shows, you're going to go to Amazon, or you're going to go to Netflix. And you've got all of the Disney shows and a lot of other kids content on Netflix. There's just not a lot. Like, in my opinion, we talked about this a couple weeks ago or last week about the bundles that you would buy. Netflix is at the top of my list, no matter who you are or what you're doing for streaming stuff. And I don't imagine that that's different for most people.
And I'm in the camp where Netflix, it's no longer my number one go-to. I have it. I can't imagine a time where I wouldn't subscribe to it.
Right.
I mean, I think I'm going on like 10 years now. But it's not my go-to anymore. And I feel like we're getting to the point where it used to be with TV. In the beginning, there was like only 2, maybe 3 channels. You just watched what was there. But now we're getting to the point where there's enough channels that you really need to kind of decide, what is my identity? Right. As a provider, what is my identity? So are we, the channel, their internet channels, just like we had TV channels or, stations. So are you the channel that everybody is synonymous with good drama? Or are you the channel that's really good with comedy? Are you the one that just plays reruns, everything that's in syndication? And I kind of feel like that's where we're starting to get. Where, you got the Hulu has, I'd say, would be the one that everything in syndication. A few good, the WGN, I guess. some good originals, but mostly other people's stuff. Netflix is kind of getting away from that, like Fox, where Fox started out as a bunch of channels that just did nothing but syndication, and then they created their own brand with their own shows, and starting with The Simpsons and Married with Children, and moved from there. But
yeah,
and I mean that's kind of my feeling, the direction that things are going.
Right. I mean, so here's the thing. Like, I do agree with you to some extent. I still think that Netflix is the key for mainstream. I think that you're right that like Hulu has its niche, and I suspect the most people in the mainstream are going to want Hulu and Netflix together, or maybe Amazon Prime and Hulu together. Hulu does have the advantage of being the source for stuff that's kind of going right now, right? Like you get shows that are airing a day late or whatever. And so that's something that's going to be very compelling to a large portion of the population. I think Netflix has, at least for the geek crowd like myself, I'm totally loving all of their original content, the Marvel Universe stuff, Stranger Things, and the like. So it's hard for me to think of anybody beating Netflix. But you're right, to some extent, that's because of my viewing demographic, right? Mm-hmm. I'm watching and enjoying Iron Fist. The reviews were really bad, but I'm 2 or 3 episodes in, and I've really enjoyed each one of the episodes. It is slow. The pacing is potentially a little bit off, but it's not enough off that I don't enjoy watching it.
Yeah, and I actually that we can. I don't know if I mentioned this on the stream last week or not, but it seems like the Netflix shows that aren't received well by the public are the ones I like. Like, I actually like, this is the first Marvel Cinematic Universe Netflix show that I actually somewhat enjoy.
Yeah.
I couldn't finish the first season of Daredevil. I made it a couple episodes into the other 2, and I just couldn't get into them. And this one was kind of mindless, that I went to turn it off, and I thought I was like maybe 2 or 3 episodes in, and I was like halfway through 7.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay. But then again, I mean, one of my favorite Netflix shows so far was Hemlock Grove. And that was that's the one that everybody kind of points to as Netflix's first kind of failure.
Yeah, the big flop.
Also Arrested Development, which I thought was brilliant. The way they did it to work around everybody's schedules, because not everybody was available to shoot at the same times. And, between those 3, those are like the 3 things that I absolutely love about Netflix, but everybody points to those as the worst.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Daredevil season 1 tremendously. I thought season 2 was good, but lost me a little bit. I liked Jessica Jones. I haven't watched Luke Cage. I'm enjoying Iron Fist. So I think, for me as a comic book fan and as a superhero kind of guy, I totally love it, and I'll watch all of those. Mm-hmm. Whether or not they're the best shows, there's definitely plenty of room for debate on that. I absolutely loved Stranger Things. I thought that was absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely. That was the Dark Knight that just came from nowhere and took everybody by surprise, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, as long as Netflix consistently or regularly puts out shows like Stranger Things, they're going to stay a powerhouse, at least, if not the dominant force.
All right. Did you hear that, Netflix? Stay slutty. But
That's right. What's the other thing?
another thing that a lot of people have been down on the Adam Sandler movies that Netflix has been doing, and I've loved every single one of them because they are exactly perfectly what I expected them to be. Yeah. Just mindless fun. Even that what was that Kevin James one that came out a few months back? It was like November, where he's the writer that pretends to be a superhero or a secret agent. Like, kind of. And it was good. It was cute. It was fun. And there's a new Adam Sandler movie coming soon, and I am really excited.
Adam Sandler made a guest appearance in the April Fool's one.
Oh, I bet he did. See, and I'm starting to wonder. We already know that Adam Sandler's on the payroll. They cut him a significantly large check to just keep making movies.
Yeah.
No matter what, just keep putting out movies. It's basically a blank check. Will Arnett, though, I want to know, does he work there now? Because he isn't showing up in everything Netflix.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what Netflix is realizing is that as long as they are conscientious about how much money they spend on the talent, if they have the right talent, and that doesn't have to be A-list blockbuster stars like, I don't know, insert your biggest celebrity here.
Like Jean-Claude Van Damme on Amazon? I'm actually excited for that one. That was fun.
But it can be people like Adam Sandler that have a small, or not small, but a modest size, dedicated following. I mean, people that like Adam Sandler pretty much watch all of his shows. So, that's going to happen, and they're going to get those people. Again, I don't know how many people sign up because of that, but they produce consistent shows. People stick around for it, that's for sure. And at this point, Amazon or Netflix needs to be focused largely on maintaining their audiences in their predominantly saturated areas like the United States.
Yeah, and like I was saying with Amazon, the football potentially preventing somebody from quitting, that is, kind of the same thing I think with Netflix. And that's an aspect that most people don't actually think about. Because when they think about the new stuff coming, they always look at it from the aspect of, is it going to attract new viewers? Well, Netflix is already pretty much at market saturation.
Right.
The only people that aren't subscribed to it are the people that are too young or don't need to because they're part of a family that's already subscribed, right?
Yeah.
But you need that steady flow of new content to keep people signed up. And that's the thing that people forget. So like when you look at that, you get towards the end of the month and you go, well, I kind of don't want to spend the $10, but that new thing's coming in like 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and they're always losing content too, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes. There's constant
this
churn.
month they lost a number of things that were significant, like they lost X-Files and stuff like that. So I think Buffy and Angel and so, they're constantly losing content, and, they're also having to find new content, which is fine because if they are effectively keeping the same users, most of those users will have seen the things that they most wanted to see. And so getting rid of stuff like Angel and Buffy that have been there for quite a while, if I wanted to see it, I would have watched it, right? And so pushing that off now is not a big deal. They can push that off and they can spend money somewhere else, bringing in different licensed stuff or creating new content that is going to appeal to me. One other thing I did want to mention that Fitz mentioned here on the side is, you talked about all of the other different kind of like sources. that the way that different channels have kind of different purposes, identities. Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. The other thing that is really important to consider is that podcasting and non-name brand content, right? Stuff like Scam School, which, I think he's still part of one of the bigger networks.
But Modern Rogue is completely, on its own.
Right. Modern Rogue and stuff like that. So these shows that are being, kind of like indie produced or produced by, our awesome Diamond Club here. Yeah. These kinds of things are becoming more popular, and they're producing higher quality content. I mean, just look at what you're watching right now. Oh, wait, I'm opposite of that. Sorry. But the quality of content that's coming through this is improving. There's also a monstrous quantity of it, right? There's far more podcasting than going on than is going to be consumed. So that's something to also kind of think about is, people don't necessarily even have to go to Netflix or YouTube or Amazon or Hulu to get good quality stuff that they want to see.
And even some of those big name shows and stuff, you can do like I do. I don't watch it. I watch it vicariously through the recollection of Brian and Tom on Spoiler in Time.
Right.
They tell me what happened in the episode, and I go, okay, rock on. I don't need to watch, what was that one with all the people disappeared? But on HBO. Exactly. My point exactly. I got an idea of what the show was. I got to live it through their recollection. But no, there's so much content in so many different ways that everything is so diverse. It's hard to kind of pigeonhole things, And, how do you classify? How do you differentiate between something that's on one network as opposed to the other? Than but then Diamond Club is kind of more kind of points to my example of like the channels and stuff, because a lot of times you have an identity. CBS makes comedies that you really like. So when CBS has a new comedy, you're more likely to check it out because of the track record. Just like Diamond Club, it's like, okay, I know Night Attack, Cord Killers, and these other shows so there's something on right now. Oh, I'll check it out.
Right.
Just because of the identity of the network. Whereas I think that's missing with like the Hulu originals or the Amazon originals or the Netflix originals, because the stuff is so all over the place. There isn't real. They're trying to please everybody with just a whole bunch of stuff so that everybody will be happy with something, right?
Yeah. And I don't think that that's the wrong approach.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I think you have a fair point that if I'm looking for a show to watch and I look at that Amazon Originals bar or the Netflix Originals bar, which both of them have, that bar isn't terribly useful, right? Because the fact that Netflix or Amazon made it doesn't mean anything to me, except that there's probably a relative level of quality. Beyond that, those shows may have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And so having them there doesn't make a lot of sense. When I see a Netflix original show in the sci-fi bar or in the action adventure bar, then I can think, oh, hey, maybe I would like that. Mm-hmm. But putting them all together just doesn't make sense, to your point, that they're so varied. They don't mean anything to everybody.
Exactly.
They mean to some specific people.
Yeah, exactly. I watch a lot of Hulu originals, a lot of Netflix originals, but when I see that Hulu original or Netflix original, it means absolutely nothing to me. I don't care either way. It could be made by Lionsgate or whatever. At this point, I just don't care because that doesn't have like a brand identity. So you don't have a deep-seated love of something where you go, oh, Netflix original, this is probably going to be good. Like there are with certain documentary makers. When you see, oh, this is a documentary, and you see, oh, this is made by whatever, and you go, I like their other stuff.
Yeah.
They've got an identity. So, and my point was, they don't necessarily need to have an identity. I just think that that's where it's going to end up going. At some point, just having everything isn't going to be good enough that I believe that they will start focusing on what is, makes them, why do people come to them for the most, and my prediction is that we will start to see identities forming around these providers. But yeah,
the one thing I would say is that I do feel like there is something. When I see Netflix original, it does mean something to me, and that is that there is probably a certain level of quality, and I can kind of trust that.
Yeah.
If this is a superhero related show, it's going to probably be about as good as the other superhero shows that I've seen from Netflix. The other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about that you've kind of gotten towards is talent. And we talked about this a little bit with Adam Sandler, but to me, I'm a lot less concerned about specific shows or channels nowadays as I am the talent involved. So I know that I will enjoy probably the majority of things that Brian Brushwood is doing, that Tom Merritt, that Jury is doing. So I make it a point to watch at least one or two episodes of every one of the podcasts or shows that they do. And usually that means that I start watching them fairly consistently. Same thing with Dan Harmon. I've learned that I think Dan Harmon produces funny stuff, so I watch his things. That's what Netflix is going with by bringing Adam Sandler on almost full time, right? Is they know people want to watch Adam Sandler, they're going to watch Adam Sandler. So I think that is a really great approach, and that is something that the channels, the services should take notice of, that people pay attention to the actors, and but it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest names. That's the problem that Hollywood gets stuck under, is that they think, oh, well, we just need to hire Tom Cruise for $20 million or whatever, and it's going to be a blockbuster. There is a ton of talent out there, and that following may not be as big as Tom Cruise or as big as, Morgan Freeman or whatever, but Dan Harmon's going to get a solid following, and it's going to be funny. And, Adam Sandler's going to get a solid following. It's going to be funny. Brian Brushwood should get his show because it's going to be funny and it's going to be good and people are going to watch it.
Yeah. And oh, I think I'm getting a feedback from you. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I was going to say, and I like the fact that we've been seeing this influx of big name or A-list celebrities into stuff that, like, not even 10 years ago they never would have touched. Your Susan Sarandons and all these just big name people that are now popping up in everything. And but a lot of times it's the people that I didn't know, that I've never heard of, that stand out the most. Or when they do like an alternative casting. Like, I don't know if you've watched the show Baskets at all on FX. I think I talked about it once before, but it's a Zach Galifianakis show.
Right.
So he plays he plays a clown or a guy that went to France to study to go to clown college in France, and he's back here with his French clown training, trying to make it with the only job he could get as a clown was at a rodeo. so right there, I mean that's because rodeo people aren't gonna appreciate French clowning, but and mime. But as I was saying with the alternate casting, his mother is played by Louis Anderson. Which in itself, because they could have, it's FX. They could have gotten a Margot Martindale or, a big name woman to play it's not a whole lot of scenes, but the fact that they went with Louis Anderson, really kind of hit it out of the park for me.
Right.
And Louis Anderson, I totally believe that he is Zach Galifianakis' mother. So yeah, it's a weird show. If you get a chance, check it out. But it's on Hulu, the last season. But it's more of kind of that humor, like if you like Napoleon Dynamite or kind of some of those shows that are more kind of a dry humor. But yeah.
Okay. I'll have to.
Yeah. I didn't know we were gonna end up there, but yeah. Hey. Any other thoughts? I mean, we're kind of coming up on time, so. And then.
I don't really have a rant or a rave this week. I finished watching Blacklist, which was good. I've got kind of got a hole in my schedule. I don't know what I'm gonna watch now.
Archer.
So, what?
You gotta fill it with Archer.
With Archer.
Season 7 is out. Surprisingly, Season 7 showed up on Hulu, and my friend asked, well, is it on Netflix? I said, no, it showed up on Hulu. It showed up on Netflix at the same time. It's unheard of.
Well, I would say that is probably something that I would be interested in watching. But when I talk about things like Blacklist, that's stuff that I watch with my wife.
Oh.
And
she wouldn't appreciate Archer?
Not gonna
Archer's great. Season 3 of iZombie came back last night. If you've ever watched that show, it really at the end of season 2 they took it in a new direction, and before I just kind of watched it on Hulu to, back episodes. And then they took it in a direction I'm interested now. Also tonight is the premiere of Archer season 8. Better Call Saul starts next week. If you haven't watched that, you should catch up. Yeah, because you watched Breaking Bad, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah. All right.
That fits into that category of things that my wife wouldn't really enjoy. A little too violent, a little too...
Californication. Did you ever watch Californication?
Uh-uh.
David Duchovny plays like a author turned screenwriter, and he just can't get out of his own way, and then everything just is constantly falling apart.
Right.
That show is a little heavy on the adult situations,
right?
Which if that's not her thing, then but it is really funny, and the parts that are emotional really hit you in the gut. That's a show I would recommend to anybody that's looking to fill a hole, because it is Showtime, so they're half hour. All the episodes are half hour. So It's easy to just put it on and then be done with it. And then if you binge 6 episodes, it's only 3 hours. Less than that, really.
Yeah.
But, David Duchovny and a whole bunch of people that you'll recognize from other stuff, like Pamela Adlon, who she shows up in a bunch of Louis C.K.'s stuff. Plus, she was the voice of Bobby on King of the Hill, which is kind of unsettling. when you see her nasty character on Californication, you imagine Bobby in those situations, and it's like, but yeah, no, and actually that kind of crossed over into my my rave or rants and rave was there's new stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff getting ready to take off right now. And Silicon Valley's coming back for a new season here soon. Bosch, I think, is starting on Amazon here in a couple weeks.
Right.
Yeah, there's been kind of a dry spell for the last few months of stuff to watch. Now all of a sudden there's way too much stuff to watch again.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so and the only other thing for me was movie party. Next Diamond Club movie party will be on the 22nd. So that's Saturday the 22nd on Diamond Club TV at 9 p.m. Central. There will be an official poll going up here shortly, as well as the announcement. But, anybody, if you haven't participated, it's a lot of fun. Come on out. We just kind of throw our brains out the door and then just see what happens. And usually a good time. Fitz can attest to that.
Right.
Oh yeah. Pepsi. Oh, yeah. He Fitz is talking about that thing you were talking about earlier. All right. Did I step all over your thing, or were you done?
That was it.
Okay. All right. Hey, yeah, so I guess we will call this for the night. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at the VOD Squad. Find us on YouTube under the VOD Squad. We're still looking for subscribers so that we can get that vanity URL. And you can go to thevodsquad.com. I have finally fixed the DNS entry, so you do not need www. This is not 1995. You no longer need to type www. Just go to thevodsquad.com. And if there's anything you want to know, links you don't remember, all of that info is kept in the handy dandy DC TVpedia, where you find all the information about all the DC Diamond Club stuff you could ever want to know. Yeah, so thanks for hanging out, Fitz, Krug. Thanks again for hanging out in the chat room. I think I am done, so I'm going to call it. Good night.
Later.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.